People forget facts, but they never forget how you made them feel. And your voice is the bridge to that feeling. Your voice is more than sound. It is the instrument that can inspire trust or create doubt, calm a storm or spark a fire. Leaders are remembered not only for what they thought, but for how they spoke. A single phrase, spoken with conviction, can move nations. A simple tone of respect can win loyalty where logic alone fails. Most people never train their voice. They rush their words, fill the air with nervous sounds, or hide their meaning behind hesitation. They confuse volume with strength, speed with clarity, performance with presence. And in doing so, they weaken the very tool that could change their life. This audiobook is not about tricks. It is about building a voice that commands attention, that invites respect, and that leaves a mark. Here, you will learn how to speak so people remember, how to use silence as power, how to listen as deeply as you talk, and how to connect with authenticity. Welcome to the power of communication. Your voice is about to change us. Words are more than symbols we string together. They carry weight, energy, and emotion. Some words cut like knives, while others heal like medicine. The difference lies not just in vocabulary, but in intention. When you speak with true intention, people feel it. They may not remember every sentence, but they remember the impact. That is the art of choosing words that move people. Think of history's great speeches. Martin Luther King, Jr. did not move millions by giving data or statistics. He spoke of a dream, a vision painted in words simple enough for a child to understand but powerful enough to stir a nation. His language was emotional, vivid, and authentic. It was not complicated, it was human. Words that move people are rarely the most complex. They are the most alive. The key is clarity. Many believe that speaking with long, complex sentences makes them sound intelligent. In truth, it only makes them forgettable. Clarity is not about dumbing down, it is about sharpening up. When your words are clear, they cut through the noise. People cannot follow what they do not understand, but they will lean into what feels sharp and precise. Emotion is another element. You may be technically correct, but if your words lack emotion, they will land flat. Emotion is what turns language into experience. A story of failure and recovery speaks louder than a lecture on resilience. A personal confession carries more power than a list of rules. When you allow your words to carry emotion, you invite others into your world, and that is where connection happens. Authenticity is the glue that holds it all together. Words that move people are not copied from a script or stolen from another's mouth. They come from lived experience, from truths you carry inside you. When you speak authentically, your words may not always be perfect, but they will always be real. People can sense realness, and they respond to it. They do not want performance. They want presence. Practice is what makes this possible. Too many assume that powerful speech is a gift rather than a skill. But like any skill, it sharpens with repetition. Read great speeches out loud. Record yourself and listen back. Pay attention to which words land and which words fall away. Over time, your sense of language will refine itself, and you will naturally choose words that move instead of words that vanish. Pauses matter as much as words. A sentence delivered without pause is like music without rhythm, flat and forgettable. Strategic pauses allow your words to sink in. They create suspense, emphasize meaning, and give your audience a chance to feel what you are saying. Great communicators know when to speak and when to stay silent, because silence is part of speech. Stories transform words into movement. Facts may inform, but stories inspire. When you tell a story, you place your listener inside a scene. They walk with you, they see through your eyes, they feel what you felt. That immersion is what makes stories unforgettable. Your life is already full of stories, moments of success, failure, love, and fear. Share them. People will forget instruction, but they will remember how your story made them feel. Influence through words is not manipulation. It is not about twisting truth to get your way. It is about aligning language with values, about speaking in a way that honors both your message and your listener. When people feel respected by your words, they will respect your voice. So begin to notice your words. Notice the tone you use with strangers, with loved ones, with yourself. Ask, do my words lift or do they weigh down? Do they clarify or confuse? Do they connect or divide? Every word is a seed, and what you plant will eventually grow. If you want to move people, choose words with care, speak with clarity, add emotion, and ground everything in authenticity. Practice relentlessly. Tell stories that carry your truth. Respect the silence between your sentences. When you do, your words will not just be heard, they will be felt. And words that are felt will always move people. Clarity is more powerful than volume. Many people believe that the louder they speak, the more persuasive they become, but loudness without clarity is simply noise. A strong voice is not one that shouts over others. It is one that cuts through with precision. Clarity is what makes people lean in, pay attention, and trust what you are saying. Without clarity, your words lose direction, like arrows that miss their target. Think about conversations you've had where the other person spoke endlessly, but left you with nothing to hold on to. Compare that to someone who spoke fewer words, but each one felt sharp and meaningful. You remember the second person, not the first. This is the essence of clarity. It makes your message stick. Clarity begins with intention. Before speaking, ask yourself, what is the purpose of my words? Am I trying to inform, to inspire, to persuade, or to connect? When you know your purpose, you choose words that serve it. Without intention, words spill out carelessly, and clarity disappears. With intention, every phrase builds toward your goal, and listeners feel guided instead of lost. Another key to clarity is simplicity. Complex language may sound impressive, but it often confuses. The goal of communication is not to impress, but to connect. Use simple, precise words that anyone can understand. Simplicity is not weakness, it is strength. Einstein once said, if you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough. The same is true for your speech. Simplify, and you amplify. Clarity also lives in structure. When your ideas are scattered, your audience struggles to follow. Discipline yourself to organize thoughts before you speak. Present one idea at a time and link them logically. Transitions act as bridges between your thoughts, guiding listeners across smoothly. Without them, your message feels like broken pieces instead of a complete whole. Tone and pace shape clarity as much as words. Rushing through sentences blurs meaning, while a measured pace allows each idea to breathe. Too slow, and you lose momentum. too fast, and you lose comprehension. Balance speed with pauses, giving your audience time to digest your words. Clarity is not only what you say, it is how you deliver it. Listening is an underrated part of clarity. When you truly listen, you notice whether your words are landing or being lost. Listeners give signals, nods, silence, expressions that reveal their understanding. Adjusting based on these signals makes your communication clearer. Speaking without listening is like shooting arrows in the dark. You may hit, but more often you will miss. Examples and analogies are powerful tools for clarity. A complex idea becomes simple when tied to a familiar image. Telling someone, discipline in communication is like tuning a guitar, paints a picture they can feel. Analogies bridge the gap between knowledge and understanding, making your message unforgettable. Confidence supports clarity. When you doubt yourself, your words stumble and your message wavers. Confidence steadies your delivery, allowing clarity to shine through. But confidence does not mean arrogance. It means trusting your preparation, respecting your audience, and believing in your message. That belief makes your voice clear even in uncertainty. Clarity requires practice. Record yourself explaining an idea in 2 minutes. Then listen back and ask, was my point clear? Did I use unnecessary words? Did I wander? Each practice round sharpens your clarity. Over time, you will naturally strip away clutter and speak with focus. In every conversation, clarity builds trust. People follow leaders whose words they understand. They respect voices that guide instead of confuse. If you want influence, do not chase volume. Chase clarity. Speak with intention, simplicity, structure, and confidence. Listen as much as you talk. Use stories, examples, and analogies to make your message vivid. When your words are clear, your voice carries power beyond loudness. And in that clarity, you will find true strength as a communicator. Listening is the hidden strength of powerful communication. Many people assume that influence comes only from speaking well, but the truth is that the ability to listen often carries greater weight. Listening is what transforms a conversation into a genuine connection. When people feel heard, they open up. When they sense distraction, they close off, and your voice loses its influence. Listening begins with presence. Too often we listen only to reply, not to understand. While another person speaks, our mind rushes ahead with responses or drifts elsewhere. True listening requires stillness. It means setting aside your inner chatter and giving undivided attention. Presence communicates value. It tells the speaker, you matter. Nothing strengthens communication more than that sense of value. Discipline is required. You must resist the urge to interrupt, even if you think you already know the ending. Allow silence to hang. That extra beat gives the other person space to continue and shows respect. Interruptions may boost your ego, but they diminish the other's importance. Patience creates trust, and trust creates deeper dialogue. Listening also reveals what lies beneath words. Tone, pace, and emotion often speak louder than vocabulary. A quick "I'm fine" may hide fatigue. A flat "okay" may mask disappointment. The attentive listener hears these hidden messages and responds accordingly, creating bonds that surface words alone cannot achieve. Active listening reinforces this. Small acknowledgements, yes, I see, I understand, paired with eye contact, nods, and posture signal engagement. These cues show you are present, not drifting. They build confidence in the exchange, making people more willing to share openly. Great communicators listen before they speak. They gather context, sense needs, and absorb emotions. Only then do they craft responses. Words without listening are guesses. Words after listening are solutions. If you want your voice to matter, make listening your first act. Listening requires humility. It reminds you that you do not know everything, that each person carries lessons you lack. This humility widens perspective, reveals blind spots, and strengthens credibility. Without it, arrogance grows. With it, wisdom grows. Listening transforms conflict. Disputes escalate when neither side truly listens. Each fights to be right. But when one listens patiently, tension softens, empathy enters, solutions appear. The willingness to hear the other side can turn confrontation into collaboration. Practice listening deliberately. In your next conversation, clear distractions, allow completion, reflect back what you heard. So you're saying, this validates understanding and prevents misinterpretation. Over time, this habit becomes natural. People will seek your presence because they feel valued. Communication is not only making your voice heard, it is also making others feel heard. When you listen deeply, your eventual words carry more weight. Trust grows, and with it, your influence. In a noisy world, the one who truly listens stands apart. Listening is not silence or weakness. It is strength. It is the unseen force that earns you the right to speak, and when you finally do, people will listen. Presence speaks louder than words. Before you open your mouth, people have already formed impressions about you. The way you carry yourself, the energy you bring into a room, and the focus in your eyes all communicate messages as powerful as language. Presence is not about being the loudest person in the room. It is about being the most grounded. It is about creating an atmosphere where others feel your confidence, stability, and attention without you needing to announce it. Presence begins with posture. A slouched body whispers insecurity, while an upright stance radiates assurance. You do not need to stand rigid, but you must stand with intention. Shoulders relaxed yet open, head held naturally high, movements deliberate rather than rushed. Your body is your first sentence, and people read it before they hear your voice. Train it to speak confidence. Eye contact is equally powerful. Eyes that dart nervously around suggest distraction, while eyes that meet others calmly signal respect and confidence. True eye contact is not a stare, but a connection. It tells the other person, I see you, and I am with you. Even before words leave your lips, your gaze has begun the conversation. Breath is another foundation of presence. Shallow breathing creates tension, makes your voice shaky, and limits your composure. Deep, steady breathing grounds you. It slows your pace, calms nerves, and strengthens your tone. When you breathe fully, your voice carries naturally, and your presence expands. A calm breath often communicates more strength than hurried words. Presence also means attention. Too many people split their focus, half listening, half checking their phone, half preparing their reply. That fractured attention erodes presence. Full attention, however, magnifies it. When you give someone your complete focus, they feel it. They feel important, valued, respected. Presence is the discipline of being fully here, not half elsewhere. Silence plays a role too. The person comfortable with silence radiates confidence. They do not rush to fill every gap, and in that patience, others sense power. Silence creates space, and in that space, respect grows. Presence is not about constant activity, but about calm assurance that you do not need to prove yourself with noise. Consistency strengthens presence. It is not about showing confidence in one meeting and insecurity in another. People trust those who are steady, who show up with the same calm energy no matter the setting. Consistency tells the world you are reliable, that your presence can be counted on. Reliability is influence. Authenticity is the heart of presence. If you fake your confidence, people will sense it. If you wear a mask, cracks will show. True presence comes from aligning your external signals with your internal beliefs. When your body, voice, and values match, you project authenticity. And authenticity is magnetic. People are drawn to those who are unapologetically real. Presence also grows through preparation. Confidence does not appear magically, it is built. The more you prepare for a speech and a meeting, one or a conversation, and the more comfortable you become. Preparation frees you from anxiety, allowing your natural presence to shine. Lack of preparation leads to nervousness, which leaks into posture, tone, and focus. Discipline yourself to prepare, and your presence will speak before you do. Think of great leaders and communicators. They do not always speak first, nor do they always speak the most. But when they enter a room, the atmosphere shifts. People notice. They are not louder, they are more present. That is the goal. Not to dominate, but to resonate. To carry an energy so steady and authentic that people lean toward you even before words begin. Practice cultivating presence daily. Stand tall even when alone. Breathe deeply before entering conversations. Look people in the eyes when you greet them. Set your phone aside when you listen. Allow silence to exist without fear. These small disciplines accumulate, shaping you into someone whose presence is felt even in quiet moments. Remember, presence is not about showmanship. It is about alignment, body, mind, and spirit working together to create calm confidence. When your presence speaks first, your words only need to confirm what people already sense, that you are grounded, authentic, and worth listening to. Build presence, and you build influence without saying a word. Emotional connection is the heartbeat of powerful communication. People may admire your clarity and respect your presence, but what truly moves them is how you make them feel. Facts inform the mind, but emotions stir the heart, and it is the heart that drives action. If you want your words to last, they must carry emotion strong enough to bridge the gap between you and your listener. Emotional connection begins with vulnerability. Many try to protect themselves by speaking only in safe, polished-toned, never revealing doubt, pain, or passion. But perfection distances people, while vulnerability draws them closer. When you share honestly your struggles as well as your triumphs, you invite others to see themselves in you. They feel understood, and in that understanding, trust grows. Stories are the strongest carriers of emotion. Data and logic may persuade temporarily, but stories linger. They place the listener inside a moment, allowing them to experience what you felt. A story of failure and recovery conveys resilience more powerfully than a list of tips. A story of love or loss communicates more deeply than statistics ever could. Your life is already full of stories. Use them generously. Each one is a bridge of emotion. Tone of voice is another powerful tool. The same words can inspire or offend depending on how they are spoken. A warm tone communicates care. A firm tone communicates certainty. A quiet tone can draw attention more effectively than a shout. Discipline your tone to match your message. Let your voice carry not just words, but the emotions behind them. Body language shapes emotional connection as much as words. Smile can open hearts, while crossed arms can close them. Leaning in shows interest, while looking away shows indifference. Emotions are contagious, and your physical signals spread them instantly. Align your body language with the emotion you want to convey, and your message will resonate more deeply. Listening plays a vital role in emotional connection. People feel valued when they are heard, and value creates emotion. A nod, a patient pause, or a reflective response tells them you are not only hearing their words, but feeling their reality. When people feel felt, they connect to you on a level beyond logic. Authenticity fuels emotion. If your passion is forced, it feels manipulative. If your empathy is staged, it feels hollow. But when you genuinely care, your words carry warmth, even if they are simple. Emotion cannot be faked for long. The disciplined communicator cultivates authentic emotion by aligning speech with true values and intentions. To build emotional connection, courage is required. It is easier to hide behind facts or formal language than to show what you really feel. But courage to express emotion makes your communication unforgettable. Think of the leaders or friends who touched your life most. It was not their perfect phrasing, it was their courage to speak with genuine passion, compassion, or conviction. Practice emotional connection deliberately. Share a personal story in your next conversation. Allow your tone to reflect your real feelings. Use words that paint images, not just concepts. Ask questions that invite emotion from others. How did that make you feel? What mattered most to you in that moment? Create space for emotional exchange, not just information. Emotional connection also requires balance. Too much emotion without clarity confuses. Too little emotion without presence bores. The key is harmony, clear words, supported by authentic feeling. This balance makes your communication powerful without becoming overwhelming. Remember that people rarely act on logic alone. They act when logic meets emotion, when the head and heart agree. By learning to connect emotionally, you gain influence that lasts. Your voice becomes more than sound, it becomes an experience. And experiences are remembered long after words are forgotten. So speak not only to inform, but to connect. Share stories, show vulnerability, let your tone and body reflect real feelings. Listen with empathy. Above all, be authentic. When you connect emotionally, your words do more than pass through ears, they enter hearts. And once in the heart, they live on, guiding thought, inspiring action, and building bonds that endure. Precision and timing are two of the most overlooked elements in communication, yet they often determine whether your message lands with impact or fades into the background. The right word delivered at the wrong time can be ignored. A powerful truth spoken with poor timing may even cause harm. Master communicators understand that what you say matters, but when and how you say it can matter even more. Precision begins with word choice. Every word carries weight, and careless language weakens your message. Vagueness creates confusion, while precision creates clarity. Saying soon leaves people uncertain. Saying tomorrow at 9 a.m. leaves no doubt. Precision eliminates room for misinterpretation. It signals respect for your listener by showing that you value their time and attention enough to be exact. Precision also shapes credibility. A leader who speaks with clear, specific language inspires confidence. A speaker who wanders with uncertain phrases undermines their own authority. Discipline yourself to trim unnecessary words. Replace filler with substance. Instead of saying kind of important, say essential. Instead of I think maybe, say I believe. Each precise word strengthens the spine of your communication. But precision without timing can fall flat. Timing is the rhythm of communication, the invisible force that gives words life. In music, the same notes played at the wrong tempo lose their magic. In speech, the same truth delivered too soon or too late loses its impact. Timing is knowing when to speak, when to pause, and when to remain silent. Effective timing begins with awareness of your audience. In moments of high emotion, rushing into advice often backfires. Sometimes people need silence before they need words. In negotiations, speaking too quickly can weaken your position, while a well-timed pause can strengthen it. Timing is less about your urgency and more about their readiness. Great communicators sense the moment and adjust accordingly. Pacing is part of timing. Words delivered too quickly overwhelm. Spoken too slowly, they bore. The disciplined communicator balances pace with pauses, creating rhythm that captures attention. Pauses emphasize points, give space for reflection, and make listeners anticipate what comes next. Timing turns ordinary sentences into powerful statements simply by allowing space around them. Stories reveal the importance of timing as well. Think of a joke told with poor timing. It falls flat no matter how clever. Now think of a joke told with perfect timing. The same words ignite laughter. The difference lies not in content, but in delivery. This principle applies to all communication. Precision ensures your words are sharp. Timing ensures they strike at the right moment. Discipline in timing also means restraint. Every thought deserves to be spoken immediately. Sometimes the wisest move is to wait, to observe, to let silence work. Impulsive speech often leads to regret, but measured timing leads to respect. The more disciplined you are with timing, the more weight your eventual words will carry. Practice precision by editing yourself. Before you speak, ask, is this the clearest way to say it? Can I remove fluff without losing meaning? Record yourself, listen, and cut unnecessary words. Precision is a muscle. You strengthen it by constant use. Practice timing by becoming sensitive to flow. In conversations, notice when people lean in or drift away. Adjust your rhythm. Experiment with pauses. Pay attention to the natural beats in dialogue. Like a skilled musician, you will learn when to strike and when to wait. Precision and timing together create impact. Alone, each is powerful. Together, they are unforgettable. The precise message delivered at the perfect moment can inspire action, shift perspectives, or calm conflict. It shows mastery not only of language but of human connection. Remember, communication is more than transmitting information. It is about creating experiences. Precision makes your message sharp. Timing makes it memorable. When you discipline yourself to master both, your words become more than sound. They become events that people carry with them long after the conversation ends. Silence is one of the most underestimated tools in communication. Most people fear it, rushing to fill every pause with words. But silence used with discipline is more powerful than constant speech. Silence draws attention, creates tension, and allows meaning to sink deeper. It transforms ordinary language into something memorable by giving it space to breathe. Silence gives weight to words. When you pause after a key statement, you highlight its importance. Without pause, even powerful truths can pass unnoticed. But with silence, listeners reflect, absorb, and carry your words with them. The greatest communicators understand this rhythm, words and silence working together like sound and rest in music. Silence also communicates confidence. The insecure speaker rushes, fearing that quiet moments will expose weakness. The confident communicator knows that silence signals control. It shows you are comfortable enough not to chase approval with endless chatter. It makes others lean in, waiting for what you will say next. Confidence is not always shown by speaking more, but by knowing when to say nothing. Silence creates space for others. In conversations, if you rush to fill every gap, you leave no room for others to contribute. But when you allow silence, people step in. They share more, reveal more, and open themselves in ways they would not if you dominated the exchange. In this way, silence is not emptiness but invitation. Silence can also defuse conflict. Arguments often escalate because each side fights to speak louder and faster. But when one side chooses silence, even briefly, tension cools. Oceans soften. Space appears for reflection. Silence signals that listening matters more than winning, and in that space, resolution becomes possible. Silence heightens presence. A calm pause before you speak shows deliberation. It signals that your words are chosen carefully, not thrown out impulsively. Listeners respect those who think before speaking, and silence is the visible proof of that thought. Each pause becomes a sign of intention. Silence is also a tool of persuasion. In negotiations, a well-placed silence can pressure the other side to reveal more. In teaching, a pause makes students wrestle with ideas instead of passively consuming answers. In leadership, a moment of quiet before making a decision shows gravity and seriousness. Silence, in these moments, speaks louder than explanation. Practicing silence requires discipline. It means resisting the urge to rush, to interrupt, to constantly prove yourself. It means becoming comfortable with stillness, both in yourself and in others. At first, silence may feel awkward, but with practice, it becomes natural. You begin to see that silence is not empty. It is full of meaning, waiting to be shaped. Silence also helps you listen better. When you stop filling every moment with your own voice, you make space to truly hear others. You notice subtleties in tone, emotion, and body language. You catch what is not being said, which is often more important than the words themselves. Silence sharpens your perception. Even in public speaking, silence is a powerful ally. Beginning a speech with a moment of silence commands attention before the first word. Pausing after a question draws curiosity. Holding silence before a dramatic point builds anticipation. These moments of quiet elevate your delivery, making each word more impactful. Silence teaches patience. It slows the pace of conversation, allowing thoughtfulness to replace impulsiveness. It reminds you that influence is not about racing to speak, but about creating meaning when you do. The patient communicator, comfortable with silence, always holds more authority than the restless one. Remember, silence is not absence. It is presence without noise. It is the pause that frames the picture, the rest that completes the song, the breath that strengthens the voice. Master silence, and you will find that people listen to your words more carefully, remember them more clearly, and respect them more deeply. In the discipline of silence lies one of the greatest powers of communication. Confidence without arrogance is one of the most attractive qualities in communication. People are drawn to voices that carry assurance, yet they recoil from voices that sound inflated with pride. The balance is delicate. Too little confidence and your words lack weight. Too much arrogance and your words lose respect. True influence lies in mastering the middle ground, projecting steady confidence without slipping into ego. Confidence begins with preparation. Nothing creates assurance like knowing your material, understanding your subject, and anticipating questions. When you prepare thoroughly, you enter conversations and speeches with calm strength. Confidence is not the absence of fear. It is the presence of readiness. The more prepared you are, the less you need to compensate with arrogance. Confidence also comes from self-respect. When you value yourself, you do not need to prove your worth with excessive boasting. Arrogance is often a mask for insecurity, but authentic confidence flows from within. It says, "I know who I am, and I do not need to shout it." People sense this steadiness. It makes your voice trustworthy. Tone reveals the difference between confidence and arrogance. The arrogant voice speaks over others, dismisses questions, and demands attention. The confident voice remains calm, acknowledges other views, and invites dialogue. One pushes people away, the other draws them closer. Discipline yourself to monitor tone. Let strength show through steadiness, not through domination. Body language plays a role as well. Arrogance leans back with crossed arms, broadcasting superiority. Confidence stands tall, open, and engaged. A firm handshake, steady eye contact, and relaxed posture communicate assurance without aggression. Presence, when rooted in respect, is always stronger than posturing. Confidence without arrogance also means humility in learning. Confident communicators admit what they do not know and show willingness to learn. Arrogant communicators pretend to know everything, shutting doors to growth. People respect honesty more than false certainty. Admitting limits shows courage, and courage is the essence of true confidence. Listening strengthens confidence. Arrogant people dominate conversations, believing their words matter most. Confident people listen as much as they speak, knowing that understanding others increases their influence. By giving space, they show security in their own voice. They do not fear being overshadowed. This balance deepens trust. Confidence is also reflected in language. Arrogance fills speech with exaggerations and absolutes. I'm the best. This is the only way. Confidence uses clear, strong statements without belittling others. I believe this approach works. Here is why I recommend this path. Confident language uplifts. Arrogant language diminishes. Practice helps you strike this balance. Record yourself, then listen. Do you sound steady or self-important? Ask for feedback. Notice whether your communication makes people feel inspired or dismissed. Adjust until your voice carries authority without arrogance, assurance without ego. Confidence without arrogance creates trust. People follow leaders they respect, not leaders they fear. They open up to communicators who value them, not to those who belittle them. When you project calm confidence rooted in preparation, self-respect, and humility, you gain influence that arrogance can never achieve. Remember, arrogance is loud insecurity. Confidence is quiet strength. Arrogance seeks validation. Confidence creates it. Arrogance dominates. Confidence collaborates. Strive always for the balance that inspires respect without demanding it. When you master this discipline, your voice will not only be heard, it will be welcomed. And in that welcome lies the true power of confident communication. Storytelling is one of the most powerful tools in communication. Facts may convince the mind for a moment, but stories capture the heart and stay for a lifetime. From ancient firesides to modern boardrooms, humans have always connected through stories. They give meaning to information, turn lessons into experiences, and make abstract ideas unforgettable. If you want your words to live beyond the moment, you must learn to tell stories well. A good story has structure. It begins with a setting, introduces characters, presents a challenge, and then shows resolution. This pattern is ancient and universal because it mirrors life itself. People lean in when they sense a journey is about to unfold. They want to know what happens next. Structure creates that anticipation. Without it, stories wander and lose power. Emotion is the heart of storytelling. Listeners may forget details, but they remember how a story made them feel. A tale of failure and recovery can spark courage. A story of kindness can awaken empathy. A moment of humor can release tension and create connection. Action turns words into experiences, and experiences are remembered long after facts fade. Authenticity gives stories credibility. You do not need to invent drama or exaggerate events. Real stories, told honestly, are far more powerful than polished fiction. Audiences recognize truth, and they respect it. When you share real experiences, your own or those of others, you show vulnerability, and vulnerability builds trust. Details make stories vivid. Saying "I was nervous" is less powerful than describing sweaty palms and a racing heart. Specifics allow listeners to picture themselves inside the story. They see, hear, and feel alongside you. The more sensory detail you provide, the more immersive the story becomes. Precision transforms ordinary tales into memorable ones. Timing matters in storytelling. A well-placed pause before the punchline builds suspense. A moment of silence after a dramatic turn allows reflection. Rushing through stories weakens their power, but pacing them carefully heightens engagement. Like music, stories rely on rhythm, and rhythm guides emotion. Stories also carry lessons. They are not just entertainment. They are vehicles for meaning. A leader tells a story not only to share an experience, but to illustrate a principle. A teacher uses a story to anchor a lesson. A parent uses a story to guide a child. A story becomes a bridge between knowledge and life. Always ask, what truth does this story reveal? That truth is what gives the story lasting value. Storytelling is also a tool of influence. In persuasion, a story can open hearts that arguments cannot. In conflict, a story can create empathy where logic fails. In leadership, a story can inspire collective action. People rarely rally behind data, but they rally behind narratives that give data meaning. Storytelling transforms isolated facts into shared vision. Practice storytelling deliberately. Collect stories from your own life, moments of challenge, triumph, humor, or transformation. Write them down. Refine them. Practice telling them aloud noticing which details spark interest and which fall flat. Pay attention to your listeners. Adjust with each retelling. Over time, you will build a library of stories ready to serve in any situation. Remember that storytelling is not performance. It is connection. The goal is not to impress, but to resonate. When you tell a story with authenticity, emotion, and clarity, people see themselves in it. They do not just hear your experience, they feel it as their own. And when they feel it, they remember it. Communication without stories may inform, but communication with stories transforms. Learn to tell them well. Let them carry your message, your values, and your truth. A well-told story is not just heard in the moment, it echoes in memory, shaping thought, inspiring action, and building bridges long after the words have ended. Building a voice that lasts is the ultimate goal of communication. It is not about a single speech, a single conversation, or a moment of influence. It is about creating an enduring presence that continues to inspire long after the words are spoken. A lasting voice is remembered not because it was the loudest, but because it carried authenticity, consistency, and truth. To build such a voice requires discipline, patience, and alignment between who you are and how you speak. A lasting voice begins with values. When your words align with your deepest principles, they gain strength that cannot be faked. People may forget clever phrases, but they remember integrity. When your voice consistently reflects honesty, respect, and authenticity, trust builds over time. And trust is what makes influence endure. Consistency is another foundation. A message spoken once may inspire briefly, but a message lived daily creates legacy. Your voice must match your actions. If you preach discipline but live in chaos, your words collapse. If you speak of respect but show arrogance, your message fades. A lasting voice is one that is backed by a lasting life. Actions amplify words, and together they echo through time. Adaptability also matters. A rigid voice may break when times change, but a flexible one continues. To last, your communication must evolve with context while holding to core values. The stories you tell, the tone you use, and the examples you share may shift with each audience, but the truth beneath them remains steady. This balance of adaptability and consistency makes your voice relevant across generations. Humility sustains longevity. Voices inflated with ego eventually collapse. But voices grounded in service, in the desire to uplift others rather than glorify self, endure. People remember those who made them feel stronger, braver, and wiser. Humility allows you to listen, to learn, and to keep growing. Growth keeps your voice alive. Discipline is the thread that ties it all together. To build a voice that lasts, you must practice clarity, listening, presence, emotional connection, precision, timing, silence, confidence, and storytelling not once, but continuously. Each skill compounds over time. Each conversation is a rehearsal. Each interaction is a chance to reinforce the identity of your voice. Think of the voices that still echo in history. They were not perfect, but they were consistent. They did not shout endlessly, but when they spoke, their words carried weight. They built trust through integrity, connection through emotion, and vision through storytelling. Their voices became larger than themselves because they spoke not only for personal gain, but for something greater. your voice can do the same. It does not need to reach millions to last. It only needs to touch deeply those who hear it. The teacher whose words inspire a student to dream has built a lasting voice. The parent whose encouragement shapes a child's confidence has built a lasting voice. The leader whose guidance creates new leaders has built a lasting voice. Lasting influence is not measured in numbers but in depth. Practice asking yourself, what will my words leave behind? Will they fade after the sound dies, or will they echo in the hearts of those who heard them? Will my voice be remembered as noise or as music? Every conversation, every speech, every small exchange is a chance to build that legacy. A voice that lasts is not about perfection but about truth. It is not about performance but about presence. It is not about domination but about connection. Build your voice patiently, align it with your values, live it through your actions, and season it with humility. In doing so, you will create more than communication, you will create resonance. When your voice lasts, you last. You live not only in your own time, but in the memory and growth of others. Words may fade, but the impact of authentic communication endures. Build a voice that lasts, and you build a legacy of influence, trust, and respect that no silence can erase.